and indeed a very, very warm welcome to all of you out there. And of course, if you're watching it on a record, which you might well be, well, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in. Hello and welcome to the Open Door Show from Property CEO. My name is Richard Clapson, as I'm sure a lot of you know, but those that don't know, I've just announced that, so now you do. And I'm here with the other half of Property CEO, Mr. Ian Charles. Do you want to say good evening, Ian?
Good evening, Ian. Hope everybody's well.
Good evening, Ian. And very funny. That's a topical joke. I like it. And look, it's great to have you here. And over the next 45 minutes, we're going to be taking, as always, a deep dive into the world of small-scale property development. Isn't that right?
Certainly is. We're going to be covering some of the latest news items. We're going to be talking to the movers and shakers in the wonderful world of property. Tonight, some very special guests. We're also going to be shining the spotlight on a few areas where we think there could be a good opportunity for existing and new developers to look at. So we've got all of that in prospect.
Good stuff. Look, above all, though, we always tell you this, and it is so important. It's a tough old world out there, but within these four walls of our studios and the four walls of your home and the connection that we have between us this evening, we're going to have a bit of fun because life is definitely far too short not to. Okay, so please join in. If you don't join in, we don't have much of a show. It's going to be a question and answer show. We've got something a little bit different this evening, different than we normally do. We've had a couple of issues with our guests, but we'll tell you about that in just a second. A few little technical issues, but the show must go on, so it's not a problem. So, Ian, what are we up to this evening?
Well, we are going to be talking all about the new breed of landlord that combines landlording, their buy-to-let portfolio, with a small-scale property development. So they're doing a bit of both. And tonight we're joined by both Adam Lawrence and Sue Sims from Partners in Property to understand why this kind of hybrid model is so effective and has been described as portfolio building on steroids. So, and apparently, I've been told we've got a super exciting announcement to make. So there you go. And even I don't know what it is.
We might not have, but they might have. I don't know. They're telling us there's something good. So yeah, on steroids. Obviously, we're not able to give you medical advice, but you know, on steroids, don't take that too seriously. Who's on this evening? Let's have a look. We've got a whole bunch of people on this evening, so which is good, and a lot of new people on. First of all, give us a wave if you're new. Give us a wave if it's the first time you've ever been on the Open Door Show. Give us a hands up. Give us a wave. Quite a few of you. Quite a few of you. Good stuff. Well, welcome. It's nice to have new people on. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm just going to drop the hands. Put your hands down now. Nav, put your hands down. Nav's new and he's put his hands up twice. Put your hands down. I'm going to drop all the hands. What's the matter with you lot? Who's on? Patrick's on. Jolion's on. Chris is on. Jin's on. Jack's on. I told you Nav was on. Patrick's on. Who's on? Ron's on. Vicky's on. Raj is on. Two Rajes. Raj M, Raj S. Don't want to get you guys confused. Roma and Richard's on. Good evening to you. Who else is coming on? Sam's just joined us. Hello, Sam. A little bit late, but don't worry. Won't hold that against you. Gary's on. Duncan's on. Do you know there's quite a lot of you on? I mean, it's a good evening. We're going to have a good evening tonight. And who says what? Tofu says, is there a creative... Well, that's a question. We went with a question straight away. Good evening, says Rory. Gentlemen from your clothing sponsor, Close Bridging Finance. Oh, finance company, getting a pitch in there. Look at that. I like that, Rory. You got me to read that out. You lured me into a false sense of security. And Jenny says, evening, guys. Lovely to see you. Missed you. Jenny, we miss you too. We miss you too. Heartfelt. Anyway, who else? Jonathan says evening. Oh, Dan says good evening, gents. Edward says evening. Oh, hello, Edward. Nice to see you. And evening, gents says Rom. Well, interesting. What a bunch of great people on. It's going to be good. Ian, have we got a few news items?
Oh yeah, have I got any? Are you doing any music or anything for this?
No, no music this week. We don't have time.
Right. Yes, I've got a few bits and pieces. So I've got a bit of news on the good old leasehold reform bill. So basically, this is all about ground rent, and you probably all been following it in the news. So that was went through as passed as law. I think it's going to actually come into effect within the next 6 months or so. And basically, no more ground rent on new flats. And I think also some limited restrictions when leases are being renewed. What impact does that have from a development perspective? Well, it means that if you were thinking of selling freehold going forward, then obviously you're only going to be able to get a peppercorn rent. But of course, it does mean that your flats are going to be competing with other flats that are out there that are leasehold without this. So one of the big things that they're talking about and there's the concern about is the fact that the existing sort of base of flats, with leasehold flats aren't being touched. So it should give you a bit of an advantage from that perspective. But as I said, I think it's going to come in the next 6 months, so I've heard. And because it's a new year, and we all know what happens New Year, we have a Christmas, we have an Easter, and we have a new housing minister. And this year's one is Stuart Andrew, who replaces Christopher Pincher. You might not have got a chance to meet him. He wasn't here very long, but they've swapped jobs apparently. But he's generally been fairly well received by the development industry. So a big supporter of permitted development rights. And he actually voted against giving local councils the power to remove PD rights. Somebody said the appointment of Stuart Andrew as housing minister is certainly welcome news for the house building industry. He's got quite a lot on his plate, but hopefully he'll be able to get it done during his tenancy, however long that is. And then the final one I found here was from planning, and it was just interesting. It was a survey that was done about greenfield housing, and obviously a lot of the larger developers always like to build in, there's a lot of attraction for building on greenfield for very obvious reasons. And this study basically said that nearly all the greenfield housing is car based. So everybody, all that happens is that you just end up with basically the car is used pretty much predominantly by everybody in any massive greenfield development. And so they're looking to have more development done around transport hubs, and I guess very obviously that's going to include making use of the brownfield sites that we already have. And of course, that then is really good news for SME developers for whom those sort of conversion type projects and that on existing brownfield buildings could be quite attractive. So there you go. That is the news. Do you want me to do the little thing with the
paper shuffle? Yes, please.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Some news. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Good stuff. Now, as Ian said, we have got, we thought we'd have Sue and Adam. So Sue Sims and Adam Lawrence on this evening. Unfortunately, Sue Sims is stuck in traffic on her way from Birmingham to London, we have found out. May join us. So we're going to keep an eye out for her. Might have a little bit of techie problems getting her on board, but we might well be able to do that. But we do have Adam, I believe, but we only have Adam from a sound perspective. We have no camera. But Adam, are you there? If you are, just turn your mic on for, and hopefully we can hear you. Not see you, hear you. Adam, are you there? Adam, are you there? Adam is self-muted. Let me just click on that. Adam, are you there?
I think you were doing that on purpose, Richie, because it was just, I was clicking the little button and it was saying you are currently muted by an organizer, and I thought he knows what he's doing here. He's enjoying this, so I'll let him have his moment of power, and let's get that out of the way before we crack on.
Good evening. Good evening, Adam. Give us a wave if you can hear Adam. I'm sorry we've got no images of Adam, although that for some would be a blessing in disguise. Can you actually give us a hands up if you can hear Adam? Yes, all the hands are up. Great stuff. Just going to drop all the hands. I have one other question of Adam. Can I just do one other question to the audience, Adam?
Of course.
The other question is, give us your hands up if you prefer not to see Adam.
Wow.
Oh my word. Adam, all the hands went up. All the hands went up. Or Adam, if you like, I can let you know later who put their hands up. Adam, welcome. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me both. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you. I'm very well.
Good stuff. And where's the lovely Sue?
So she over 6 hours from Birmingham to London. I know Sue's got a bit of a reputation for not always going the right way on the motorway, but she really does seem to have taken it to a new level today, unfortunately, Richie.
Never mind. We'll keep an eye out, Adam, and if she can join us, that's great. Look, Adam and Sue, great friends of ours here, co-founders of Partners in Property, portfolio builders in their own rights. They've got a significant portfolio. Sue's got a lot of social housing stuff. Adam is quite well known to a lot of you. If you don't know Adam, you soon will. Adam, could you just do a brief introduction first of who you are, and maybe a bit of who Sue is and who Partners in Property are? That would be very useful.
Of course, absolutely, Richie. So my background, my limited amount of corporate background was in wealth management, and also in a cross-business consultancy in one of the UK's top 10 lenders. But largely speaking, I've always worked for myself pretty much apart from those few years. and I've been about 11 years now in property, and about the last 7 of those really full-time, pretty much, although I do spin a lot of plates, so I don't know if I'm full-time in anything really, to be honest with you. But I've done about 500 deals, which have involved everything from cheap flats all the way up to portfolio purchases, business purchases, buying and selling, letting in estate agencies, number of surrounding businesses to property, and also a smattering of developments as well, which we'll talk about in a bit. And Sue has built a portfolio the old school, one block at a time kind of way, deployed capital in deposits and built that portfolio local to her over time. No one knows more about Birmingham than Sue Sims, and she is also a partner in an agency that manages quite a large number, over 400 HMO rooms alongside a couple of hundred single lets, and is sometimes called the queen of social housing. So Sue and I got together, it was 2017, so 5 years ago now, when we decided we would start our own take on what a property network really should be, which was to bring people together who were active in property, to try and give them somewhere to meet, like-minded people to talk to, and ideally to try and do business together and do joint ventures together, because we've all got our strengths and weaknesses, of course, and we felt that in the space there were a lot of people sort of purporting to be networking meetings that really were just selling things to people who were brand new to property, which ground both of our gears quite a lot. So that's why Partners in Property was formed, and now we've gone from just that Birmingham meet to 5 meetings around the country. Indeed, that's why we're both in London tonight, because we've got Partners in Property London tomorrow.
Great stuff, Adam. That's good. And we're sponsors, Partners in Property, and we love what they do. It's a great organisation. So if you want to get involved in that, then certainly check them out. We'll give you some contact details a bit later. Adam, so this evening we talked about putting this event on this evening because obviously you had some chats with us back in the last year, earlier this year. You wanted to really look at things in terms of where the market was really shifting, where the big interest was. And, you know, there's a lot of people in Partners in Property that's got portfolios and starting portfolios, but there seems to be this massive interest in this sort of the landlord developer and the opportunities that development gives you as a landlord to move things forward more. Just tell us a bit then in terms of what you really wanted, you know, what your thoughts are on this sort of landlord developer, why you wanted to really get involved in this. And we're going to tell people of an opportunity that you've got a little bit later before the end of the show.
Yeah, sure thing. So I think, you know, the times of house prices rising incredibly year on year and easier pickings for landlords have kind of ended really with the government's direction of travel. And of course, we've been through, yes, significant capital appreciation, but a time over certainly the last 18 months where it's been very difficult to buy stock, very difficult to do anything other than get involved in ridiculous bidding wars where obviously if you start by overpaying for things by 5, 10, 15%, you're well behind before you start. So that on top of the fact that ultimately the government is putting more and more obstacles in the way in terms of not only compliance, but in terms of frictional costs and things like that. You know, the 3% additional stamp duty over the recent years, it's meaning it's very, very hard to do the vanilla thing and just buy, unless you're earning, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds a year and you can dump money into buy-to-let deposits and not worry about it. But really, you have to wait a long time for that to pay itself back, Richie. So one of the ways to get around quite a bit of that stuff and some of the bits that have worked for me over the years are either getting involved in converting things or creating new units or creating more units from existing buildings, and then using bits of largely PD is where I've done most of mine to maximise the value of things like shops and tops, as we lovingly call them. You know, so you would, I'm sure, agree we need to be developing into rising markets, and there's never been a more attractive market to be developing into compared to how difficult it is to acquire vanilla buy-to-let stock, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking potentially at probably one of the most significant changes of how you build your portfolio. But nothing wrong with building a portfolio. It's combining this development process, which obviously we do here at propertyCEO. Those that know us will know that. Those that don't, you do now. You know, using that, as Ian said, you know, getting your portfolio building on steroids. You know, it's that type of thing which you guys have done, but this is doing it in a new way now. So in terms of development, and obviously people, I can see questions coming in, so we'll pick up a couple of questions in a minute. Please put your questions in for Adam, and if Sue joins us, for Sue, you know, ask Adam anything he wants. Why does he think this is quite an interesting opportunity? Why should you be thinking of it? But do you think this is a big thing really for that people ought to, if they haven't started looking at development and combining that with their portfolio, do you think they should be doing it now?
Definitely. I mean, the idea of the ability to get multiple units on stream in one go, for example, in one fell swoop, the ability to make the most out of it gives you an extra angle. Quite a few. It depends how experienced people are who are listening, how many properties they've already got in their portfolio. But ultimately, sometimes you're sitting there with, let's say, a back garden plot on a property extension that you've never could be done, or a big property that could be subdivided into a few more, and this is the time to be looking at things like that when acquisition of your sort of real vanilla stock is particularly difficult, Richie.
Okay, are you ready for some questions? I see questions coming in, Ian. Should we grab a question for Adam?
We can grab a question for Adam. I've got one here from Jackie. Good evening, Jackie, who asks a question for Adam, which is good. Have you done any property development? If so, what? If not, why not? There we go, straight to the point.
Well, there's at least 3 questions there, isn't there? Yes, and if not, why not? Well, I don't need to answer that one, do I? Because I've said yes. Exactly. And what? Commercial conversions. I have done an out the ground build as well. And like a PD effort, so changing what's either redundant office space or sometimes large flats above shops and tops into smaller and more efficient rental units. I've also done a few bits around of this and regularising over the years, bringing them towards today's standards, making them compliant, making them financially attractive compared to what they were when I bought them. So that's and what with their why? Because ultimately that was a great way to add some value, and I wanted to keep those units. So I haven't wanted.
I think there, folks, we've lost a bit of sound from Adam. Adam, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. It's always interesting when we've got a live show and a guest on and they've completely disappeared. So he might well come back, but the show must go on. The show must go on. So let's pick up a couple of other questions. There's a question in here. Ian, this is an interesting one. Karen's asked this, and if Adam comes back, Adam, if you can hear us, just chip in and we know you're back. What sort of investment do you need, Karen asked, to start this property development journey? What sort of investment do you need? Ian, you got a few thoughts on that?
I can share a few thoughts on that. So I think there's quite some significant differences between the sort of finance arrangements that you would have on in kind of buy-to-let and versus development. So typically what's happening when you're doing development, you're likely to be having you've got 2 types of finance. You have commercial finance, and you will have potentially private finance as well. So the commercial finance is typically split between the asset purchase. So if you're buying, for example, a shop to convert, the lender will typically lend up to 70% of the value of the shop, but then they will lend 100% of the development funds. So as a result, and that sometimes surprises people, because normally when if you're a landlord doing a refurb, then yeah, typically you may be expecting to have to pay for the refurb out of your own funds. Here with the development, the funding comes from 100% from the lender. And then the other big difference with regards to the deposit, so if the lender is giving you 70% of the value of the shop and you've got to find 30%, you can actually, subject to your lender agreeing, you can then get a significant proportion of that deposit borrowed from other people. So you're typically able to pay a fairly significant rate of return to private investors, and then that obviously reduces the amount of money that you need to put in yourself. So ultimately, the amount of money that's going in from a deposit perspective can be dramatically reduced because you've got this private lending involved. You obviously do need some other funds as well in terms of being able to kind of get things off the ground. You might have some fees that you incur in terms of a pre-purchase, so it might be some architect's fees or some planning fees. And I think you'd always want a little bit of contingency. You certainly need some solicitors' fees, and I would suggest also you'll be paying for the valuation, the survey fees as well. So there is certainly some other costs that go around that, but ultimately for a lot of people, I think they're pretty surprised at how little investment is actually needed out of the blocks to do some fairly chunky developments in terms of the numbers. They're not big schemes in the scheme of development as a whole, but they're still, reasonably significant six-figure profit projects that you can get into with a little less money than a lot of people think because of the way the finance is structured. I hope that helps.
It does. I don't know if Adam's still there. Adam, can you hear us? If you are,
I'm here, both. Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Now you're back. You're back. We've taken over answering your questions.
Oh, you're doing a better job than I am. That's fine by me.
That's good. I thought we were. Okay, here's a question for you, Adam. Let's see if we can pick this one up.
Really, Richie, to be honest, yeah, rather than you.
So again,
is it specifically Ian doing a better job, not you, just to be clear?
I've always liked it.
It's not necessary. Anyway, let's try a question. Okay, Adam, here's a question from Richard. He says, interesting, this sort of reflects what you were just talking about, Adam. It says, I've been trying to build a buy-to-let portfolio, but it's taken me 5 years to get 3 houses. And to be honest, I'm getting just over £1,000 per month from them. I guess this is entirely in spare cash. And that doesn't really change my life much. What could I earn out of a development to get things going faster? Adam, we know what you can earn out of a development. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends whether you're going to sell it or hold it, obviously. So if you take it that we're looking to create cash flow, you'd certainly be hoping to at least double that in your first deal, realistically, Richie. And if the margins are there, you won't leave much money behind, if at all, when you come to refinance. The market's still pretty attractive for term lending, and it's still down about the 3% mark at the moment. And if you can create even a, say, a couple of 100 square meter unit that you could create 4 flats out of, you'd expect to be cash flowing more than 1,000 out of that unit when it was done, depending on where it is. And you could maybe replicate 5 years worth in one go. Really, that would be the goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the interesting thing I can add to what Adam said there, Richard, is that you might be looking to develop something. This is a common problem that a lot of new portfolio development landlords try to think of, and they get stuck with, is they think, okay, well, I don't want to hold those properties because they're in the wrong location. I won't do it. Well, you can actually develop. You could develop 2 hours away from where you live, because you don't need to be on site the whole time. It's very leveraged. And then you could sell out, get the cash, bring the cash back to your area where you want to build your portfolio, and invest that into properties that way. So because you're generating much bigger lumps of cash quite quickly. And what sort of numbers, to answer specifically, Richard? Minimum minimum of 100,000. You've got to be developing out of your first deal. We're not talking about quick flips or refurb. We're talking about 150,000 up of what you would get. Most of our students will get that as a minimum. So hopefully that's answered. We've got another one for Adam, Ian.
I've got a political one for you, Adam. It could be controversial, and it's from Helen. Good evening, Helen. Why do you think the government has such a downer on landlords? Without them, we would have more housing problems in this country.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think in reality, what they've been driving towards since 2015 and George Osborne's famous summer budget is realistically getting the smaller players out of the industry and getting the larger players in. You could look at that as a bit of crony capitalism, and you could take that sort of angle on it. You could look at it as bigger providers are easier to regulate, legislate, tax, etc., etc. Although the very big companies don't always pay their fair share, as I'm sure Helen knows. But there's definitely this kind of idea that the 1 and 2 property landlord, the mum and pop landlord, if you like, doesn't do their compliance, doesn't do this, that, and the other. Whereas we know, those of us who know landlords on the ground, know that's absolutely not true. And actually, having a human being behind providing homes for people is a pretty good idea. But unfortunately, the direction of travel is pretty much set. And this government, unless the regime is to change and the attitude is to change towards those housing providers, and to be honest, Labour seem more negative than the Conservatives do towards landlords, certainly these days. I don't see that direction of travel changing, I'm afraid. So if you talk to a big institution about it, they love these barriers to entry and this compliance that everybody's throwing in, because it makes it harder for the small players and easier for them. And like any business, when there's barriers to entry, there's profit to be made. So that's where we are, Ian, I'm afraid. And I'm sorry, I've got no better news than that, really. But I very much agree with what Helen said.
Fantastic. There you go, Helen. You heard it here as well. In total agreement. Richie.
Adam, David says, Adam, have you had a questionnaire through from the Met Police about the party at number 10?
I wish I had. I wish I had, David.
No, he doesn't. I made that one up. Anyway, Clive's got a genuine question here. Let's see what this says. Evening, everyone. Evening, everyone. Can we put in there except Sue, who's not here? I'm just starting out in property and wondering what to do. Learn to sing and dance. Don't want to get into property, Clive. Anyway, he says, I don't need cash flow for now as I have other income. Does the team recommend then to start with development and build my portfolio that way? Adam, first dibs to you.
Well, I think I talked a little bit earlier on about holding on to stuff and therefore not crystallizing those big gains, because as you both correctly said, you can make a lot of money out of development. If you want to spend it on whatever and crystallize that profit by selling it, you will have to pay an element of tax on that, of course. If you're going to hold on to it and then create and keep that regular monthly income, whilst it won't be as exciting a number and you'll have created that paper profit, you won't incur that tax bill. So if you don't need the money in the now, there's a lot to be said for going into the development side and then holding on to effectively build to rent, Richie. Look at what all the big guys are doing. What are Legal and General, what are Aviva, etc., all getting involved in and have been for years. Build to rent. It's very tax efficient, and it's a very, very steady stream of income with that capital growth in the background and low maintenance, because you've built to a good standard in the first place. So you can understand why they do it.
Yeah, there you are, Clive. I mean, as Adam said, those big players are out there doing it, so there must be something in it. So hopefully that answers your question. Go for it. Get involved in development. As I say, Clive and others, Adam's got something which he might invite you to a bit later. So maybe for a small fee, cross his palm with a bit of silver, he might invite you to something. Ian, what's the next question?
Got one here from Jenny. Good evening, Jenny. We've had all this fabulous information from Richie and Ian, and we are well on our journey to finding our first deal. But from your point of view, Adam, where should we start? Where do you think, what do you think are the low-hanging fruit?
So we're talking sort of types of things to develop rather than where geographically. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So I think the starter stuff around the retail premises, the shops and tops is a good one, especially as you can minimise the planning risk if you can use some permitted development stuff. And I know Richie's got an absolute ton of PD tricks up his sleeve, which are well worth following. And I think there are anything down there, Richie? And
Nothing down there.
I think it's a good way to get involved in the first place, because you're not if your first deal is multi stages of planning that's going to take several years, there are a number of things that might trip you up a bit. So I think it's in the same way that if no one's ever bought a buy-to-let before and they're desperate to get into it, going and buying an HMO for social housing in South Shields when you live in Exeter is not the best way to do it. There's a step into it. It can still be meaningful. It can still generate you a nice chunk of change, and it gets you ready for the next one. and while you're doing one, you often see the opportunity for the next one anyway.
Cool, good
Fantastic.
stuff.
Great stuff. There you go,
Jenny.
Jenny.
Thank you for that. Jenny, she said, what a fabulous information from Rich and Ian. She's one of our students, Adam, so I think she's after something there. She's after a favour. So that no one's ever said that we're fabulous. Jenny, thank you very much. Love it. There's a similar question here from Ranjit, which I think we probably answered, but just to mention, it says, hi there, what type of project would you recommend for a beginner? Well, I think we just answered that, Ranjit. Hopefully, you know, some shops and uppers and those sorts of things, really go for it. Let me pick up a question here. So Adam, I'm going to put this one to you for social housing, because it says, where has it gone? So here we are. I had a question for Sue, but she's not here. Can Adam answer it? I don't know. Let's try. Can you mix property development with housing? I mean, can I develop and hold to let out to social housing tenants? So here we think, this is Amelia. I think she's talking about, can she do a development? She wants to then build it to rent, but then rent it to a social housing provider. Adam, have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the easy answer is yes, you can. What I would want to do is make sure that it stacks up as a development if the social housing provider doesn't take it. So there's kind of two ways around you can go about it. You can be working with a registered provider already and go out and hunt stuff to convert for them. So I know a number of RPs who want, you know, 6 units here and 8 units there and things like that. And the difficulty, of course, is getting them on stream quickly, because normally they want to fill their requirement quite quickly. But sometimes they're willing to wait 12 months, or depending on what sort of project you're taking on. So you can approach it from that perspective. Alternatively, I'm doing one at the moment that's a former HSBC bank, where we actually bought it with planning for 6 units, and we've actually improved the planning to 9, and improved the commercial space as well. And I'm talking now, we're through planning, we're into construction phase. I'm talking to RPs about whether they want to take that building as a whole on a long lease, or just the residential parts of that building on a long lease. But it still works, even if it just goes into the private market as 9 individual flats. So I think if you've got your backup plan and it still stacks up, if you don't get that extra layer on top that the social can provide, then that's what I would want to see in a really good social housing development that I was going to either sell or hold on to, Richie.
Stuff, Amelia. No, I'd agree with that. Everything Adam said there, absolutely. The short answer is, of course you can. You know, it's another exit, and the great thing about that exit, Amelia, is that funders like it. I mean, we're not really talking about the detail of funding. There's lots of questions coming in tonight. We're not going to be able to answer them all. There was someone saying about how do you fund developments. Well, you know, that you can get the funding if you go down the permitted development route. You can get 100% of the development and 70% of the purchase. And actually, the lenders out there are really keen when you've got a guaranteed exit. So if you're doing a deal with a social housing provider and you've got that guaranteed exit, that's a very attractive deal for funders. So yeah, that's good. Ian, what's next?
We've got a question here from Susan. Good evening, Susan. Can you explain to me what permitted development rights are? Sorry, I am new to property and first time on show. Well, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Thank you. Yeah, in a nutshell, basically, government recognises that that there are certain situations where full planning permission shouldn't be needed. Some of those permitted development rights surround your own home in terms of extending it up to certain kind of parameters. But there's a whole raft of other permitted development rights which surround the conversion or the change of use of a building. And so what they've done is they've given us these permitted development rights that allow us to change the use. It's not for many forms of that type of PD. We still need to get some form of approval. It's called prior approval, but it tends to be a very limited set of approvals that your boxes that need to be ticked. So it's nothing like as comprehensive as full planning. So the risks that are inherent in the planning system in terms of going for full planning are much reduced because you're going for permitted development. And of course, the big news that was kind of been alluded to a bit earlier is that the government in the last year or so has massively increased, in fact just in the last 6 months, massively increased the number of buildings that can now be converted under permitted development. So there's a lot more opportunity out there. So that's in a nutshell, what permitted development rights are. I hope that helps, Susan. Richie.
Adam, I'm smiling because I got a question. I'm going to read this question out. It just made me laugh. I just read it. This is from Ranjit. It's not the Ranjit we know, but I won't say what his surname is. But it says, evening, Adam, and of course, Richie and Ian. My question for Adam. Honest opinion, please, he says. That's what made me laugh. Honest opinion, please, Adam. I'm a landlord, but want to do something else because I'm fed up with my tenants, ! Do you think it is possible for someone with no experience to become a successful property developer? So here, Adam, we've got Ranjit. He's obviously got a portfolio. He's a landlord, and he wants an honest opinion. And I guess the question is, how does he become a property developer with no experience of property development? I could answer it, but he's asked you, and he wants an honest opinion. Adam, what's your thoughts? Is he there? How can he give his honest opinion when he's not there?
Can you do an Adam impression?
I could try and do Adam's honest opinion.
Come on.
Adam Lawrence, are you there? Calling Adam Lawrence, as someone said earlier. Jenny said that earlier. Calling Adam Lawrence. He seems to have disappeared again. So hopefully he'll come back. I'll tell you what we'll do. Adam, as soon as you're there, chip in, please. But Ranjit, I know you've asked for an honest opinion, but let me answer it, because there's also a question from Tom, and I'll get Adam to give his opinion in a minute, because Tom says, how can I get started into development without experience? Surely I need lots of experience before I can do this, says Tom. So Ranjit, similar question in lots of ways. And the answer is, of course you can do it. Okay, you can do it. Is it easy? Ranjit, Tom, no, it's not easy. Okay, no, it's not easy. Of course, that's the great thing, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. And you don't want everyone to go and do this. But there is a way that you do it. You certainly don't go and blag. You certainly don't have to go and pretend. But it's about the approach. It's about the name of our company, propertyCEO. Okay, why is it called that? Because you operate, Ranjit and Tom, as the CEO of a development company. That's how it works. Okay, that's the principle behind it, is that you basically are going to pull the team together. Think Richard Branson. Think Richard Branson, who's would set up any business, and if he wanted to become a property developer, you wouldn't expect Richard Branson to be out there laying the bricks. Okay, Adam's just come back on. He's linked back on. I'm going to just transfer him over, guys. I'm trying to let me just multitask and try and get him.
This is
hang on a minute. Make him panelist. I'm going to make it. He signed off and come back on. Hopefully, Adam will be able to hear us in a sec. So you operate as a CEO in this business, and you pull the team together as Richard Branson would, Ranjit and Tom. That's what you would do. So you are going to pull together a project manager, an architect, and everyone to develop this. You're basically going to sit at the top of the tree. Adam's back on making a lot of noise. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you there, Adam?
I am, Richie. I was listening to what you were saying, and I agree. And what I was going to say to Ranjit was, first of all, he will have done some development basics anyway as a landlord, because ultimately he will have made a series of decisions about improving the property in between tenancies when he bought it, etc., etc. He'll have done things that add commercial value. He'll have been organised, because you need to be well organised as a landlord to stay within compliance and everything else. And if you think you're fed up of tenants, wait till you deal with contractors every day. No, I'm only joking. But ultimately, I think, of course it can be done. And what you were saying is dead true, Richie. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But ultimately, it's not some kind of incredible dark art. It's a bit like the old, the Dalai Lama saying, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And the same goes for anything that looks quite daunting. Yes, there are a lot of moving parts, but actually getting them to work in sync is not really the hard bit. The hard bit is being motivated and organised and wanting to get it all done, and knowing where to crack the whip, knowing where to engineer the value, and enjoying the process really as well. I think that's important, And I think lots of people, I know quite a few people who built portfolios and then sold up, cashed up, and then said, right, all I'm going to do now is develop, because I don't want to hold stock, and I don't blame them. It's not easy.
No, absolutely. Okay, look, Adam, before we lose you completely again, and hopefully we won't, we talked at the top of the show that you put something together with us. You had this idea that Pip, you wanted to pull together an event. Normally, most of our guests here on Open Door know that we never sell anything. That's just not the way we do it. But we have an opportunity that Pip's got something that we're working with them on. Adam, do you want to explain what it is, please?
Absolutely, Richie. I'll be delighted to. So we've got an opportunity, and we've asked yourself and Ian, you've very kindly said yes to lend your skills to host a development masterclass for us. So that's going to be a one-day event on Saturday, the 5th of March, West Bromwich Albion Football Club. And what people will get, there might be a few listening who've come and seen you talk at a PIP meeting, or I believe other meetings are available, though I can't remember the name of any of them right now. And of course, much as it pains me to say it, Richie, we get lots and lots of good feedback on all the value that you provide, but we can't really get stuck into the actual process, and we can't get stuck into, how do you find a site? What do you do? What questions do you ask yourself? We don't have that time to sit and do this. So this is a whole one-day event where we'll be having.
You've gone again. You've gone again.
I reckon you cut me off then. You cut me off because I was enjoying myself, wasn't I? That was the thing. That was the thing.
Carry on.
But I was saying we've got that opportunity to do some live workshops, which we don't get when we're at Partners in Property, and really go through the process. And of course, you're not going to learn how to be a developer in a day. That would be a ridiculous thing to say. Nobody could teach you that. But you will get much more of a flavour than you even get from the PIP meetings, where we try and cram in as much value as possible. So not only that, and we're grateful for you guys for putting yourselves in the firing line for that, and bringing along some of your contacts as well. I'm certainly going to be there, and I know that I'll be there with an open mind, and I know there's loads of stuff. Again, it pains me to say it, Richie, but I know there's loads of stuff that you'll teach me on that day. And even more.
Are you coachable, Adam? Will you listen?
Now that's the question. That's the question. You'd have to tell me, I think, realistically. But on top of that, we're also, for the people who've sat through our tech problems and Sue not being here and everything else, and also had to listen to Richie for 45 minutes. What we're going to do, especially a one-off, we've never done it before at PIP, is we're going to send out a discount code tomorrow for the tickets. So not only will it be a great day, it will be significantly discounted and very affordable, much cheaper than you could pay at a lot of other places, much better content. I've looked obviously very closely at what you guys do before you even came on board with PIP. I was incredibly impressed by the level of it. It's not rocket science, but as you said, Richie, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And the approach that you guys have really resonates with me, and that's why I'm delighted, and Partners in Property are delighted that you guys will host this masterclass for us.
Good stuff. So that's the opportunity. Adam, your team gave us a link. Ian, could you pop that in the chat box? I'll tell you what, folks, then we're going to send you out a link, which I believe is to like a page which tells you all about this masterclass that Pip have put together. I believe there's a complete agenda on there for the whole day that we're going to host for the PIP team. So we've taken the time to put that together. And as Adam said, there's a big portion of live deal workshops. So you just, you're not going to get those unless you come and spend a whole day. And we would take you on that journey so you can understand development. But I think, as Adam said, I believe there's a link on that website to get tickets. Don't go and buy one of those tickets. I'll tell you what we'll do. Give us a wave if you're happy for us to do this. We'll send you out tomorrow. Adam, your team can send us that discount code, can they, please?
Yes, we will. We will.
Okay. So what we'll do, and I don't know what that discount code is going to give you, but Adam says it's very affordable, so I have no idea. So what we'll do to everyone, give us a wave if you're happy for us to send that to you tomorrow. Yeah, lots of hands going up. What we'll do, our team will send out to you all that's been on here. We'll just send it to everyone. We'll send you the link to the website and also the discount code. So presumably, somehow they go on, they must click on the ticket thing and then they can enter the code or something, Adam, yeah, I guess?
That's right, Richie, that's right.
Cool. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, look, Adam, we appreciate that. Hopefully, people will appreciate that. Obviously, some of our students on here, you guys probably won't be joining us because you're there, but pleasure to have you on here and some nice comments from them. Those that are new, and I'd encourage you, if you want, lots of questions tonight from people about dipping your toe in the water, having a think. I don't know what deal Adam's going to do for you. I know it was pretty good value anyway, because it's their deal. It's not ours. We're just going to, be there to present on the day. But I would say if you can make it up to West Brom, come and spend the day. It's a physical day with myself and Ian. We'll have some fun. I think that's important. And what it will do, it will really make your mind up whether development's for you or not. And I think that's massively important. And if it's not for you, you haven't spent a huge amount of quid, and you can then decide that's not for you. And if it is, at least you know what the next steps are. And I tell you what, I mean, something we've talked about with Adam is that if people want to do something else, we might do some sort of sponsor program with Pip as well as a bit of a follow-on. So, yeah, they're probably going to be an exciting day.
That'll be great, Richie. Thank you.
Good stuff. Okay, Adam, thank you for coming on. Please send our regards to Sue when you catch up for this evening. Tell her maybe she should have left at 10:30, not 12:30.
I got the train, Richie, so I feel quite smug right now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd wipe that smug smile off your face when you see her this evening, because that's not going to do you any favours. Adam, thank you for coming on. Thank you for persevering with us on the tech issues. And yeah, send us that link tomorrow, and hopefully we're going to see a few people on here. And obviously, Adam, I don't think I'll be seeing you before, so I'll see you on Saturday, the 5th of March. I look forward to it.
Looking forward to it, Richie.
Adam, thanks very much. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ian.
Cheers.
Wow, that was good, wasn't it? That was
very good. Yeah, I thought your technical skills there were quite. Yeah, I hadn't realised you can multitask.
Oh, blimey. He pressed us this evening. Okay, did you enjoy the show, Ian? Good fun?
Love the show. I love the show. Yeah, I was sitting kind of on the edge, I thought.
On the edge. Please, everyone, put your comments in the chat box. If you like tonight's show, please let us know. We always like to hear that. If you particularly liked Adam and you didn't like either of us, let us know, and Adam can do it from here on in. But yeah, any comments would be great. Apologies for the tech issues. These things happen, but hopefully we kept the momentum going. Informative and punchy, someone described the show as before, so hopefully we maintained that this evening through all the troubles. Apologies we didn't have Sue here. We'll try and get Sue back another time. I'm sure she'll grace us with her presence, and we look forward to that. Next week's show, Thursday the 17th of February at the same time, same place. We look forward to seeing you then. And of course, if you are going to come and join us at West Brom, and as I say, I'd encourage you, it's probably the cheapest way you'll spend a day with us, whatever discount deal Adam's doing, then please come and join us for the day. You can chat to, there's plenty of time to chat to us as well privately. Maybe this will be the start of something new for you in 2022. So we look forward to hopefully seeing a few of you there. We'll send those codes out tomorrow. Don't buy off the link we put in the chat box tonight. Did you put that in there, Ian, to everyone? Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah.
Good stuff. Excellent. Okay, who says what? Dan says, great show, guys. Exclamation mark. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Chris says, just bought the book. You will be seeing me, no doubt, in the future. Hi, he's bought our book. Pop on Amazon, have a look at industrial conversions if you want, and new book coming out soon this year. Watch this space. Vicky says, always great fun and highly informative. Thank you all so much, guys. Rory says, good effort, chaps. Good effort? What do you mean good effort? I thought it was blooming well done, Rory. That's a bit harsh. Thank you, chaps. Very interesting, says Jonathan. Patrick says, many thanks to propertyCEO for the show. Enjoyable and informative. And finally, Ranjit says, excellent show. My first webinar, even though I've been listening to your podcast for a couple of years. Thumbs up. Well, Ranjit, you're a convert now. You're a convert to the Open Door show, and there are loads of back issues of this. Pop onto YouTube, go back, Ranjit, fill your boots, listen to us forever and a day. And Ranjit and everyone else, we'll see you back here next week, same time, same place. Good night now. Cheers. Bye-bye.